Alright, so welcome to Cup Prototyping. What I want to accomplish today is to first make sure we all understand the purpose of prototypes, what we're doing with them, to make sure we have a good understanding of the basic types of prototypes that are available, to talk about the criteria that should be used to select a prototype, to discuss how to define the depth and scope of a prototyping effort, and then to actually make sure we're on the same page about how to evaluate the prototype and make sure it's accurately and sufficiently mitigated the risk. So those are our objectives for today. Does anyone have any other objectives other than these?
How to put this into a timeline.
How to put this into a timeline? The class or the prototype?
The prototype. No, the class I already realized doesn't fit in any timeline.
I was going to say, done. We can add that to our list. How to fit this into a timeline. Anything else? So I cover these items and how to fit it into a timeline, and everyone is happy as pigs in mud.
The pigs really don't care about mud. It's Michael in mud.
Alright, great. Well, let's jump into it, and the first item was to talk about the purpose of our prototype. Right? So I want to set the stage. Inside CUP, I want to make sure everyone understands in the analysis and design disciplines, there's actually an activity that talks about prototyping, right? So we do have that resource available, and we'll actually go to the CUP site later on and see what's in there for that activity. But given the context, well, what's the purpose of a prototype? What do you guys think? Why do we do them?
Validate our assumptions.
To validate our assumptions?
About as broad as you can get.
Sounds good. Validate assumptions, mitigate risk.
Get some of the work done iteratively.
So we can get started because I want to code as soon as possible.
That's some idea of what we're doing.
Get a feel for what we're doing. Better estimates. We do some of it so we kind of know what's going on.
From a UI perspective, to make sure that it's usable.
Make sure my UI is usable. Everything you said is absolutely true. We do prototypes for all those reasons, right? Again, the driver behind everything in CUP is risk. So we definitely want to mitigate risk. Right? I sometimes want to do things to make sure that I have enough confidence in my estimate. Do I know enough? Right? The things that would cause those things to be off in the estimate or assumptions, so I'm going to validate those. So everything you guys said is absolutely true as far as why I want to do a prototype. You guys are good. I'm impressed.
You should be.
Good that I keep it.
So, again, I'm going to explore a little bit more about that purpose piece of it, right? Because, first you got to see the cartoon.
I like it.
Like it? In the cartoon, he talks about, hey, you know what? They want us to back off our claims, so we'll just stop making claims. And the reason I have that up there is because, again, the easiest way to get out of doing prototypes is probably just to not do them, right? And I could make that decision. But again, going back to the overall purpose, if I want to validate assumptions or I want to make sure that I mitigate risk, I may decide to do something to get the risk level down, right? But if that's the case, if that's the purpose, then in order to make sure that I've actually mitigated the risk to a certain level, I mean I have to verify it somehow. So before we actually do a prototype, you have to have some sort of evaluation criteria that verifies here's my purpose of the prototype, and here are the things that I can go through and check off to know that I've met those objectives. So, there's a question. There is a meet me code, which is 51338.
That's all. 5999.
On the 5999. So let me ask a quick question. Because most of you have done or been involved with prototypes before. So how many of you have actually set out evaluation criteria to know that you've met the objective before creating the prototype? Take that as a no. Has anyone ever done that before?
Well, evaluation. I mean, there's always ways of prototyping. I don't know if it's formal.
Yeah, we've never written anything out.
Yeah, but we have an idea of why we're prototyping, to verify if well if it's possible, whatever. But there's always a. I mean, otherwise, why are we doing it?
Yeah, like a goal. Right?
Yeah, we have. There's a goal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from the basic looking at, of saying, actually deliver on the promise, saying what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever made any promises that we have to deliver to after that. People don't like it. That's just my
So it sounds like it sounds as though we've captured the spirit of the cartoon in some instances, and we just haven't made claims about the prototype that we could meet.
Yeah, well, basically, it'll give us a warm, fuzzy feeling. I think that's really what prototypes have done for us, to give us a warm, fuzzy feeling.
So let me ask a quick question with this. Right? How do we, without having the evaluation criteria to know we met the objectives, how do we really know we met them?
We feel warm and fuzzy.
Or we feel warm and fuzzy? That's enough.
No, we usually have a goal. I mean, if our goal is that, I guess in a way, that is our evaluation criteria.
The reason I ask this is because, again, I've watched several different projects do prototypes, and here's what I've observed. I've observed as having a goal, and when it comes time to actually evaluating the prototype, somehow the goal always seems to shift a little bit to whatever we've done. So no matter what we started out with, right, whatever the goal used to be, at the end of that prototype, it always seems to be whatever we created. And everyone seems to look at each other and say, yeah, it's done. Right? So I've never seen a prototype fail.
Right.
Anyone else notice this phenomena?
Well, Brian, on one of the projects, probably about the time you were starting here, we used prototypes in usability testing, and we took two versions in, and we sort of did an A/B to see which direction seemed to work better.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, not goal and so forth of everything, not maybe documented as formally as you might like to see, but clearly we had a a clear objective, which was A or B.
Yeah.
And so we saw failure points, honestly, on both, and ended up trying to take a little bit of the best of each. But we actually had a pretty clear direction coming out of that.
Well, I'm going to make a statement here. Again, it sounds like, from what you're saying here, that we pretty much have an objective we're trying to reach with doing the prototype. And given that we're using CUP, and in CUP we're creating iteration plans based on risk, and the section 3 of that would be an objective. All right, so I'm going to say, make the bold statement that probably if we're doing a prototype, whatever the goal of the prototype is, should be in section 3, the objective section of our iteration plan.
Now we should identify we are creating a prototype at this point.
Correct. And here's what we're trying to prove, right? We're trying to prove this.